أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وشار الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي لا تؤاخذني مما يقولون واغفر لي ما لا يعلمون واجعلني خيرا مما يظنون أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome one more time to the House of Dua. The House of Dua is a platform from which you learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His creation, His message and His messenger, and of course, His chosen religion of Al-Islam. Welcome to the channel from which you learn how to reach out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your supplications. Supplications for your needs, supplications for your aspirations, and supplications against those things that you fear most, for which you need protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the channel from which you learn how to do so. And welcome to the channel from which you learn how to succeed in the world we live today and how to be hopeful that the Akhirah will be better for all of us. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, today we are bringing you a very unique topic that contributes to the anxieties and fears and instabilities in our marriages. We are coming to you today with the rising incidents of, if you like, bad motherhood or failed motherhood, as a matter of fact. What is motherhood? Motherhood means the state of being a mother, the mother of children, the responsibilities of being the mother of children. Motherhood generally also can refer to women in the society, women as a collective. Without them, there will be no population. They occupy such a unique position in the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why they deserve a great deal of honor. And the Quran has celebrated them time and time again. To be a mother in Islam, a woman has to be married. Islam does not encourage women to become mothers outside marriage. Therefore, when we speak about motherhood in Islam, we are talking of a combination of two things, being a wife and being the mother of the children. This role is so important in the affairs of humanity that we need to pay attention to it from time to time. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, who is a good mother? A person truly worthy of being called a mother. You might say the person who has given birth to a child, but it's much more than that. One thing is to give birth to children. The other one is to provide an enabling environment, a conducive environment to nurture that child to adulthood, into a position where the child will be successful in life. The mother has a great role to play in this. But there are emerging signs nowadays that the mothers of our children are falling below expectation and actually abandoning these responsibilities or turning the status of motherhood into a weapon against their husbands and against the family members. That's not how it's supposed to be. This is why we are raising this issue today. If you are not yet experiencing it in your family, then of course you are lucky. There are people who are having sleepless nights and anxieties and depressions because of the wrong way some people have played the role of motherhood. And dear brothers and sisters in Islam, in order for us to have a good marriage and a conducive environment for us to raise our children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid the ground rules for good parenting. And one of the requirements for that is good motherhood. And you cannot have a good motherhood unless a wife fulfills certain functions, certain fundamental functions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects her to fulfill. In Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَصَالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ بِمَا حَفِظَ اللَّهُ. A true and righteous woman, a true mother worthy of its name. Before you can become a mother, you have to be a wife. This is the setup in Islam. You cannot be a successful mother if you are not a successful wife to your husband. You cannot be a worthy mother if you are not a worthy wife to your husband. That's why in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the righteous wife, the good wife is the one, kanitat, who is obedient to the husband. Not only that, hafizatun lil-ghaibi bima hafiz Allah, the one who protects her chastity. What Allah has kept secret, she keeps that secret for her husband. Protects her chastity solely for her husband, without exposing her adornments to other people outside. That's who a true wife is. And the children have a lot to learn from that example. A true wife or good mother also is one who shares the responsibility of running the home with the husband in such a way that there is a balance of responsibility in the home. That's why in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِوَالِدَاتُ يُرْضِعْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنَّ حَوْلَيْنِ كَامِلَيْنِ لمن أراد أن يتم رضاعه وعلى المولود له رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف لا تكلف نفس إلا وسعها لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا على مولود له بولده وعلى الوارث مثل ذلك. الله أكبر كبير. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse draw our attention to the need for the husband and the wife to cooperate in the raising of their children. While the wife is breastfeeding the children, it is the responsibility of the man to provide material support for that wife, including feeding and medical care and all that she requires in order to be able to do that duty successfully. So duties are shared in Islam. This is very important in the life we live. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed the authority of the home in the hands of the man. الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. The man is the head of the home because he has responsibility, including nafaka, maintenance of the home, and so on and so forth. But he cannot discharge these responsibilities without the cooperation of the wife. If the wife is working and able to generate some income, then it behoves on her also to help to contribute to the running of the home. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the Quran is replete with names of women who have discharged the duties of motherhood, women who have served as wives as well as mothers of children. There are some who served as wives but didn't have children, and still they were loyal and happy in their marriages. Examples of these women mentioned in the Quran are Hawa alayha salam, Maryam alayha salam, Hannah, the wife of Imran alayha salam, Sarah and Hajara alayhima salatu wa salam, the wives of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. We also have the mother of Musa alayhi salam, and we have the wife of Pharaoh, Asya alayha salam. We also have other women like the wife of Nuh alayhi salam and the wife of Lut alayhi salam. We have the wife of Ayub alayhi salam. We have reports of the wife of Musa alayhi salam, and we also have reports of the wife of Zachariah alayhi salam. What about Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam? We have a lot of hadith about his wives. Ummahatul mu'minin radiyallahu anhunna ajma'in. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, these are great, great women. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not hesitate to give us examples of the kind of women we need in Islam and the kind of women we don't need in Islam. He gave us a pair of good women that our women in Islam need to emulate. And he gave us a pair of bad women that our women in Islam need to stay away from. The two examples of good women are Maryam alayha salam and Asya alayha salam, the wife of Pharaoh. Even though Pharaoh was a notorious disbeliever, but then his wife played a noble role that singled her out as a woman of honor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave us example of two bad women because of the role they played against their husband, the wife of Nuh alayhi salam and the wife of Lut alayhi salam. The reports in respect of these four women are in Surah At-Tahrim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا امْرَأَتَ نُوحٍ وَامْرَأَتَ لُوطٍ كَانَتَا تَحْتَ عَبْدَيْنِ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا صَالِحَيْنِ فَخَانَتَاهُمَا فَلَمْ يُغْنِيَا عَنْهُمَا مِنَ اللَّهِ شَيْئًا وَقِيلَ ادْخُلَا النَّارَ مَعَ الدَّاخِلِينَ. وضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون إذ قالت ربي ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين ومريم ابنة عمران أحصنت فرجها فنفخنا فيه من روحنا فصدقت بكلمات ربها وكتبه وكانت من القانتين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us an example of two bad women, the wife of Nuh, the wife of Lut. Why were they bad? Because they plotted against their husband. The wife of Nuh did not only oppose her husband, but he instigated her children against the husband. We shall come to that later. The same thing with the wife of Lut. She was disloyal to her husband by going behind her husband to join those who were doing what Allah has prohibited, for which reason her husband was sent to mankind. But the wife of Pharaoh, she was chaste, she was good, she was noble, even though her husband was notorious and a sinner and a disbeliever. She stood her ground as a believer, calling to goodness as far as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala singled her out. And the mother of Jesus Christ, Maryam alayhi salam, distinguished herself as a woman of chastity. She didn't have a husband, but then she was chaste. And through her, Allah manifested one of his signs, the ability to create a soul out of a woman without the intercourse of a man. That is the chastity of Maryam alayhi salam, that no one can rival in today's world. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, these are the examples Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for us. Among the women in the Quran were good women. Hawa alayhi salam had a successful motherhood. So also Sarah alayhi salam and Hajara alayhi salam, the wives of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So also the wife of Imran alayhi salam, Hannah alayhi salam. These are noble women, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. What of the wife of Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam? Precious. Good women. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them, and they responded to that guidance. And so they had beautiful time and lived good examples of good motherhood. And now let us consider the case of the mother ant. A mother is supposed to be proactive in the interest of her children. This is the lesson we learned in the story of the ant, revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Naml, chapter 27 of the Quran. That surah is named after the ant, the exemplary behavior of the mother ant, and the powerful lesson involved for us who live today, especially the mothers of our children. In that beautiful story, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Sulaiman alayhi salam was marching down on a journey, but the ants, led by their mother, came out of the ant hill to take fresh air. As soon as the mother ant noticed the sound of Sulaiman, the horse is coming, she told her baby ants, Edekolo masakinnakum la yatimannakum Sulaimanu wa junuduhu wa hum la yashurun. Amazing. The mother ant told the baby ants right away, get into your habitation, for Suleiman and his forces are coming. They might trample on you because they may not know you are there. You are so little on the ground. That's what a mother is supposed to be. That's the role of a mother. The mother is not supposed to use children as a tool for causing trouble in the home or leading them into self-destruction. In today's world, women have turned motherhood into a weapon in their families. Unfortunately, That's not how it's supposed to be. What we now find, reports are increasing nowadays of women turning their children against their husbands. They start early by poisoning the hearts of these children against their husband, telling their children that the father of these children was not caring. The father of these children was neglectful. The father of these children abandoned responsibility of their raising to them alone. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, how far is this true? Are you experiencing this in your home or not? In these days of social media, when this cell phone has become a tool for dangerous secret keeping and for conspiracies and playing dirty games behind the wall, it's becoming difficult now for you to understand what is going on between your wife and your children. Before you know, the women set the children against the husband or against the father of the children. We have seen cases of that on the rise. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, how has this become so? What we live in now is a world of shaitan. It's a world of influences. We cannot rule it out. Now, this is what is becoming a very serious challenge to many families in today's life. We have seen women who have instigated their children against their fathers. We have seen women who have instigated their children against themselves, choosing and picking among the children. We have seen women who have deserted their marriages in spite of the beauty of those marriages, in spite of the effort made by the father or the husband of the woman to raise the children. They desert the marriages and break up the children into pieces. Those that they can influence, they allow those children to go with them, and those they cannot influence, they turn their back against such children. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, as we have stated, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the raising of children as a joint responsibility between the man and the wife. But then, in most cases, some of our women, they abandon the responsibility of raising the children for the man alone. The man labors all night and day to train his children to make sure they are not neglected, but she sits down somewhere there using the telephone to control the mind of the children and to set them against her husband, who is the father of the children. The children grow up hating their father. This is a bad example of motherhood. And in some cases, such women desert the marriage to set up their new life, using the children as a wedge for their future success. This is the trend we are seeing in today's life. A young boy came to me some months ago. He told me, "Ya Sheikh, I have a problem." He opened his phone. From June last year to June this year, he received 52 messages from his mother back home in Africa. The mother in these messages was telling him to be careful about his father. Was telling him not to send enough money to his father. Was telling him to be careful about his own sister, who is now in Maryland. Was telling him that if he knew he ever sucked her when he was little, he must not send money to his father without asking her, without letting her know how much he was sending to the father. This is what this guy received. And he came to me, "What can I do? I know that in the Quran we are told to obey our father and our mother, but look at what my mother is doing. My sister in Maryland does not talk to me anymore because my mother has poisoned her mind against me." And these two children have the same mother. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, these are the trends we are seeing in today's world. That's why we are raising the issue here. I advise a young boy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَىٰ وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيَّ ثُمَّ إِلَيَّ مَرْجِعُكُمْ فَيُنَبِّئُكُم بِمَا كُنتُمْ تعملون. I told the young boy, in this verse, you are required to have good companionship with your father as well as your mother. Allah did not say you should support your mother against your father or support your father against your mother. Allah expects you to be kind to both of them, so you don't need the permission of one to deal with the other. And apart from that, if any of them wants you to do what Allah did not permit you to do, don't do so. In this case, Allah does not permit your mother to tell you to hate your sister or to tell your sister to hate you or for you not to be kind to your father. Therefore, you have the right to disobey her. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, not many of our children have been able to open up like this. There are others who have gotten carried away by the evil plans of their mothers against their father. There are others also who have been set up against their siblings by their mothers. These are examples of failed motherhood we are seeing in today's life. That's why it's important for us to raise the issue. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, if this kind of incident is not yet happening in your area, then you are lucky. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to allow it to happen. For those children who have gotten carried away by what their mother told them, we want to remind you of the story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. He had a wife and he had children. Among the children was one known as Canaan. He was a bad boy. Bad because the mother instigated him against his father. Yes, that is why when it was time to destroy those who were sinners of the time, the mother and the son were included in that destruction, even though it was at great pain to Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Prophet Nuh alayhi salam to realize that what his son did was different from what he was sent to preach, then Nuh alayhi salam told Allah, "A'udhu bika an as'alaka ma laysa li bihi ilm. Wa ila taghfirli wa tarhamni akun minal khasirin." Allahu akbar kabir. He told Allah, "I seek refuge in you for actually asking you to save my son. If you don't forgive me and have mercy upon me, I'll be among the losers." My dear brothers and sisters, the son of Nuh and the wife of Nuh were destroyed because of the conspiracy they had against Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. My dear children, therefore, of today, be careful who you listen to. Neither your father nor your mother should use you against either of them. Do not listen to your mother when he says, stand against your father. Do not listen to your father when he says, stand against your mother. No. A good son is supposed to stay at the middle. And even if you see situation not going well between your parents, it's better for you to try and reconcile them and bring them together than to be a partisan person in that dispute or in that environment, as a result of which Allah will not be happy with you if you do that. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, yes, there are several hadiths of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam in which urge us to honor our parents, especially the mother. But the Prophet never encouraged anyone to allow himself or herself to be used by one parent against the other. Both parents are important to the children. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam recognized the importance of the head of the household, just as he declared that the Jannah of the children is at the feet of the parents. So he also declared in one of the hadith of the Prophet that the Jannah of the wife is at the feet of her husband. Therefore, it is highly encouraged that children honor their parents, especially their mother, at the same time honor their father, without allowing themselves to be used as weapons by either of the parents. That will not be in their own interest. It is important for our children to take note of this, because we are Muslims. Whatever we do as parents, whatever we do as children, we are accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. Take shaitan away from our life. Take our life far away from the shaitan. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Alhamdulillah.